Hi there. Are you ready to start our newest chapter book? Well, I am ready too, but before we start, I thought I'd show you where we are today. This is my office, and that is my grandma on the wall right there when she was a young lady. And I love books, love books. So that's some of the books that I have at my house, and I love music. This is some of my music up here. And would you like to see my biggest book? Are you ready for it? You're going to be surprised. Ready? This is my biggest book in the house. It's all of the stories by one author named Shakespeare. Ooh, let's see, it's 1,700 pages. Wow. I didn't read all of it, but I read most of it when I was in college. Now, one of my oldest books is this one, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Yeah, look at those old pages. I bought it at an antique store. Let me see if I can find a picture in there. It's a pretty scary story about a ship full of sailors. It's pretty cool. But one of my absolute favorite books of all time, absolute favorite books and series of books is the Harry Potter series. This is the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And when I read it, I had just started teaching, and I was teaching fourth grade, and it was the perfect grade to read it to the class, and we all loved it. Anyway, that's just some of my favorite books, but those are none of the books that I'm reading to you today. So today I'm reading Katie Woo and Friends. This is Katie Woo. And I don't think I mentioned this to you before, but in chapter books, you can look at the back, and usually it will tell you a little bit about the book. So you know if it's, when you pick it out from the library, you'll be able to see, read that and tell if it's something that you're interested in. So let me read it to you. Katie Woo loves playing with her friends Jojo and Pedro. They do everything together, from losing teeth to looking for ghosts. Even when they argue, they always make up in the end. After all, there's nothing like a good friend. So let's take a look and see if there's a table of contents here. Yes, there is. There are, I've got quite a glare from my lamp, 4 chapters. And I think this is the first chapter book that actually says table of contents instead of just contents. You can also see what year the book was written. And I believe that it was written, it's as old as some of you, because there's a little circle right here with a little letter C in it and a year after it, and it says 2013, and that's the year that most of you were born. So this book is about Katie Woo, and she, I think, is about the same age as you, and the book is about the same age as you. I hope you like it. Chapter 1 is called Boss of the World. Boss of the World. Katie Woo and her friends took a trip to the beach. Let's do everything together, said Katie. We'll have so much fun. Let's build the biggest sandcastle in the world, shouted Pedro. That's his idea. You two carry the water to me. I will build the castle, said Katie. That's not fun, Jojo said. I think it is, replied Katie. Do you think that's fun to have Katie Woo build the castle while everyone else fetches the pails of water? When the castle was finished, it wasn't very big, and it kept falling down. What a rotten castle, Katie moaned. At lunchtime, Katie shouted, I'm so hungry I could eat an elephant. Me too, said Jojo and Pedro. There's the castle that kept falling over. I could eat an elephant. Me too, said Jojo and Pedro. They passed French fries around, but Katie ate most of them. I don't think Katie's being such a good friend today. I think it's too dark in here, so I do need the light on. Oops. Jojo and Pedro had only 3 fries each. I'm still hungry, said Pedro. Katie grinned. I'm not, she said. Why isn't Katie hungry? Well, she ate all the fries, right? After lunch, Katie said, let's lie on the blanket. We can watch the clouds and kites fly by. This is different from other chapter books we've read. There's a picture on every page. Katie, move over, Pedro said. You are taking up all of the blanket. It's my blanket, Katie said. She did not move 1 inch. Pedro and Jojo had to lie on the itchy sand. Let's go over to the playground, Pedro said. There are big swings there. The 3 friends raced each other. Katie got there first and grabbed the only empty swing. What do you think Jojo and Pedro will do? Let's see. Jojo and Pedro watched her swinging for a while. Then they walked away. What's wrong with them? Katie wondered. She ran after her friends, saying, let's look for seashells. The 3 friends took off their shoes. They walked barefoot along the shore. The waves tickled their toes. I see a giant shell, Pedro shouted. He began running, but he tripped over some driftwood and fell down. Katie grabbed the seashell. Driftwood is wood that drifts or floats in and lands on the beach. Hey, that's not fair, said Jojo. Pedro saw the giant shell first. Finders keepers, Katie insisted. Katie and Jojo and Pedro made faces and walked away. Katie grabbed her beach ball and began tossing it around, but it wasn't any fun. Why isn't it fun? It's not fun to play by yourself, is it? Just then, Jojo and Pedro and Jojo's dad began swimming and splashing around in the waves. Katie ran over, shouting, I want to swim too. No, yelled Jojo, you can't. The sea belongs to us. That's silly, Katie said. She laughed. The sea can't belong to you. And all of the French fries don't belong to you, said Pedro. And all of the seashells, said Jojo. And the blankets and the swings, said Pedro. Uh-oh, said Katie Woo. I think I have made a mistake. For sure, said Pedro and Jojo. Is she learning her lesson? I'm sorry, said Katie. I won't be a meanie anymore. Is it okay if I share the sea with you? Yes, said her friends, and there were plenty of waves for everyone. What do you think of that first chapter? You know how we talk about the parts of a story? We have the characters, the setting, the beginning, middle, and end, and the problem and the solution. And then we also have the central message, the part that I say warms up your heart. It's the part where the character learns about being a better person, right? And you learn something too by reading it. What did Katie Woo learn about being a better person? What is the central message of this chapter?